Welcome to Act 5, Scene 3 of Julius Caesar. So, first, let's look at the gist of what happens in this scene. So, in this scene, Cassius and Titus are in a battle, and Titus says that they are surrounded by Antony. Also, that Antony is in Cassius's tent and that Cassius must fled. Since the hills were far away, Cassius asked Titus to go and see who were in his tent, if they were friends or foe. However, Pindarus misinterprets that Titus was taken by the enemy, and this information makes Cassius guilty and asks Pindarus to stab him. And Cassius dies. When Messala and Titus enter the tent, they find that Cassius is dead and Pindarus has fled. Titus understands that Cassius had misinterpreted what had really happened, and when Brutus enters, he says that he is the most grieved by Cassius's death and that he will find a proper time to mourn because he wants to try his luck in a second fight and try to win the battle. This is the summary of what happens in this scene. Now let's go into the line by line explanation. So Cassius is saying, "Oh, look, Titus, look, the villains fly." So he's telling Titus, look, the scoundrels, the villains, they are running away. Myself have to mine own turned enemy. He's saying my own people have turned against me and become my enemy. This ensign here of mine was turning back. So he says the flag bearer, my own flag bearer was running away, and I slew the coward and did take it from him. So I killed the coward and took the flag from his hand. So Titus says, "Oh Cassius, Brutus gave the word too early." So he's saying that Brutus gave the orders too early. Who having some advantage on Octavius? So he says he saw the opportunity that Octavius's army was not ready and he gave the word. And his soldiers began looting while we by Antony are all enclosed. However, we are surrounded by Antony and his army. That is when Pindarus enters. So Pindarus says, "Retreat, my lord, go further off. Mark Antony is in your tent and therefore you should fly off." So Cassius says, "This hill is far enough. Look, Titus, are those my tents where I perceive the fire?" So he says, "Since it's far away, I can't see. So are my tents on fire?" So Titus says, they are, my lord, yes. So Cassius says, "Titus, if you love me, mount on my horse and spur him on until you have reached the tents and see the troops, and come back here again so that I may be assured whether those troops are my friends or my enemies." So Titus says, "I will be here again even with a thought." Means as quickly as the thought runs through your mind, I will go and I will be back. And he exits. Once Titus leaves, Cassius asks Pindarus to see what is happening. So he says, "Go, Pindarus, get higher on that hill. My sight was ever thick." So he's saying that my eyesight is as bad as ever. "Please tell me what you see about the field." And Pindarus goes up the hill. So he says, "This day I breathed first." So this is the day I first took a breath. "Time is come round." So time has come around. "Where I did began, there shall I end." So where I first began breathing, I shall end my breath as well. "My life has run his compass." So my life has come through a full circle. And he says, "Sirrah, what news? So what do you see?" So Pindarus looks from above and tells, "Oh my lord." So Cassius says, "What news?" So Pindarus says, "Titus is enclosed round about." So he says Titus is surrounded and these horsemen are riding rapidly to him, and yet he spurs on. So yet he goes forward. Now they are almost on him. So they are nearly reaching him. Now Titus, now some dismount. So some dismount the horse. "Oh, he lights too, means he is also seen dismounting from the horse. He's he's taken by those people, and they shout, and hark, they shout for joy. So they are shouting for joy. So Cassius says, come down, behold no more. He says, come down and please look no more. Oh, coward that I am to live so long, to see my best friend taken before my face. So he's saying, I've been a coward for living long enough to see my best friend being taken by my enemies right in front of my face. And Pindarus comes down. So he says, come hither, Sirrah, come here, boy. In Parthia did I take thee prisoner. So I took you as a prisoner in Parthia. And there I made you swear that because I'm saving your life, that whatever I did bid, so whatever I ask you to do, you should do. Thou should attempt it. Come now, keep thine oath. So now keep your oath. Now be a free man, and with this sword that ran through Caesar's gut, search this bosom. So find this heart of mine or this chest. Stand not to answer. So don't delay. Here, take this handle, and when my face is covered like it is now, guide thou the sword. So thrust the sword into me. And Pindarus stabs him. And as he dies, he says, Caesar, thou art revenged. So, Caesar, you have found your revenge through the very sword that killed you. And he dies. So, Pindarus says, so I am free, yet would not so have been. Yes, I am free now, but I don't want to be free. Durst I have done my will, O Cassius. So, he says, if I had to follow my will, I would not want to be free. O Cassius, far from this country Pindarus shall run. So I shall fled far away from here, where no Roman should ever find me. And he exits. That is when Titinus and Messala enter. So Messala is telling Titinus, it is but change, Titinus. So he's saying it is a meaningless change because Octavius is overthrown by Brutus and Cassius's army by Antony. So Titinus says these news will well comfort Cassius. So Messala says, where did you leave him? So Titinus says, all disconsolate, means all in despair, with Pindarus, his bondman, his slave, on this hill. So Messala says, it's not that he that lies upon the ground, is it he who lies on the ground? So Titinus says, he lies not like the living. So he's saying he does not look like he is living. He looks dead. Oh, my heart. So Messala says, is not that he? Isn't that him? So Titinus says, no, this was he, Messala. So don't say is. It is was because he has died. Cassius is no more. So he has passed away. So he says, O setting sun, as in thy red rays thou dost sink to night. So he's saying, just like how the setting sun turns red when it start becoming evening to night, Cassius has died in a pool of red blood. So in his red blood, Cassius' day is set. So he has also set like the sun in his own blood. The sun of Rome is set. So he's saying the sun of Rome has set. Our day is gone. Okay, so our day is over. Clouds, dews, and dangers come. Our deeds are done. So he's saying our days are over. And clouds, dews, and dangers are approaching. Our deeds are done. Mistrust of my success hath done in this deed. I don't think he believed that I would ever return on my mission. And so he killed himself. So this is an important part, so please pay attention. So he says that Cassius misunderstood. So he thought that they would lose the whole battle. Oh, hateful error, melancholy's child. So he's saying those who are in melancholy or those who are in despair, those people, when they have despair in their mind, this despair shows false thoughts in the minds of people and shows things that are not really true. So this error and makes people act in error. So he says, as soon as you come into being, that is, as soon as the despair comes in the mind of people, you killed the person that created you instead of bringing joy. So he says, despair, when you're created inside the minds of people, instead of bringing them happiness, why do you want to kill the person with such wrong thoughts that are not true? So Titanus says, Pindarus, where are you, Pindarus? So Messala says, seek him, Titanus, while I go to meet the noble Brutus, thrusting this report into his ears. So he asked Titanus to go find Pindarus, and he says that he will go and find Brutus, and he will thrust or force this news into the ears of Brutus. He says force because he says, for sharp blades and poisonous darts would be welcome in the ears of Brutus than to hear such a news. So Titanus says, hurry up, Messala, and I will go find Pindarus in the meanwhile. And Messala exits. So Titanus is talking to Cassius and saying, but why did you send me there, brave Cassius? Did I not go and meet your friends there? And did they not put the wreath of success on my head and bid me to give it to you and ask me to give it to you? Did not hear them shout, oh, alas, thou hast misconstrued everything. So he's saying, oh my God, you have misunderstood everything. But hold thee, take this garland on thy brow. So take this garland and put it on your head. Because you thought that I have been surrounded by enemies when I was meeting thy friends. But nevertheless, take this wreath of success. And he placed the garland on Cassius's head. Thy Brutus bid me give it thee, and I will do his bidding. So he says, Brutus had asked me to give you this garland, and I will do as he say. Brutus, come apace and see how I regarded Caius Cassius. So he's telling Brutus, come and see how I loved Caius Cassius, and by your permission, and I am doing this Roman duty. Come, Cassius' sword, and find Titanus' heart. So he takes the same sword that killed Cassius and he kills himself, and he puts the sword through his heart. So Brutus says, where, Messala, where does his body lie? So Messala says, lo, yonder, and Titanus is mourning it. Look here. And Titanus is mourning. So Brutus says, but Titanus is lying face up. So young Cato is saying, oh, he has killed himself. So Brutus is saying, oh, Julius Caesar, you are still so powerful. So he's saying, thou art mighty yet. So you are still very powerful. You are so powerful because your spirit is walking around and turning our own swords into our own stomachs. And he says, brave Titanus. So Cato says, look, where have he not crowned dead Cassius? So he's saying, look, he has even put a crown on dead Cassius. And Brutus says, are yet two Romans living such as these? So are there any two Romans who are living as good or great as these? The last of all the Romans, fare thee well. So he's saying, the last of all the Romans, goodbye, farewell. So he says that it is impossible that ever in Rome they are going to produce an equal like such people. Friends, I owe more tears. So I owe more tears to Cassius that you shall see me shed. So he says, I shall find time, Cassius, I shall find time to mourn over your death. So, but he says, come, we shall send Cassius's body to Thassos, and his funeral shall not be in the camp but there, because otherwise it is going to demoralize us. So he says, Lucius, come, young Cato, let us go to the field. Labio and Flavius, go set our battles on. It is just 3 o'clock, and before night we shall try our fortune or try our luck in a second fight and try to win. So he's saying Brutus is saying he's not yet ready to mourn because he wants to complete what he started in the Ides of March, and he wants to at least try his luck in the second fight and they exit. So this is the end of Act 5, Scene 3. Study well because no pain, no gain. All the very best and thank you.